Good morning, St. Barbara. Welcome back. We are here again this week coming to you from inside the church, and we have a few special guests with us today. Joan Duncan is with us today. She is our Director of Faith Formation, and I did want to kind of let everybody know, again, something has changed. We are now sitting 6 feet apart. So for those of you wondering, we are exactly the proper 72 inches away from one another. And just for today, when we're not speaking, we're going to do the proper thing and cover our faces with our masks. So I'm going to give a shout out to my friend again, Christy Smith. She made my mask, and she made Joan's mask over there.
Didn't make mine.
So really, it's really great, first of all, to see you ladies here again today. It's beautiful outside, nice and sunshiny on this beginning of this new week. So this quarantine thing, it's really starting to be a little bit of a struggle. But I will say that we've really been trying in my family to focus on the positives. So Dawn, could you share with us maybe something that's been positive for you during quarantine?
Well, it was hard at first, but then I started thinking, and it has been a blessing in many ways. First of all, our families, I'm sure, as everyone out there, families are together, which sometimes is hard to do. So we have been forced to be together, and that is great. We're having meals together, as I'm sure everyone is. We're praying together, which we've never done. I hate to say that, but we've never done. And so we watch our Mass from St. Barbara's, and then so we're together praying. And then at night times, we've been doing either the Divine Mercy or some other prayers. Joan, you said you started the Divine Mercy as well, and that sort of inspired us too. So that has been one of the best things, I would say, praying together as a family. Oh, one other thing. I baked a cake, which I haven't done in such a long time. So just having this extra time has been just a blessing to our family. So personally, for me, that's been the time together.
Awesome.
What it is.
Joan, how about you?
Well, Dawn referenced a little bit. I again hate to publicly acknowledge that my prayer life has gotten much better now that I have the time, and that should never be the deciding factor. You should make the time. But I am a big fan of Steve Angrisano, and he does every day at 3 o'clock on Facebook Live. He does the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and that to me has been a very calming and very prayerful experience for me. I am home alone. My daughter is away at college. So for me, I can take that time, unless I'm Zooming or something else, if work related. But so I do take that time to just focus myself, and for that 20 minutes, spend that time praying along with, and the group that gathers is wonderful. You can see the
Camaraderie.
Exactly, and the expression, the appreciativeness of what Steve does for everybody. So shout out to Steve Agrisano.
He is really the best. Love
yes.
him.
I also have been, I can say that my house is probably cleaner now than it's been in years, having that opportunity to do that. And while I'm not a baker, I rely on my friends to do that kind of stuff. But I do.
She makes excellent stuffed cabbage though.
Thank you.
She does.
I have been cooking better. Sad to say, when I'm rushing from this activity to that activity or whatever, I don't have kids at home, but we spend a lot of time doing the things we do here for the parish, that I don't always cook like I should. So I've been trying to do better, more home cooked meals, while also supporting our local establishments. I give myself a treat once a week.
Yep.
and I call out and I get cheat food, pizza, whatever. Chicken wings I got the other day, they were delicious. So I've been trying to make the best of what it is that we're doing here, and just trying to bring Christ to whoever we see.
I had a friend that said to me, over the weekend, she said, when this all started, My husband said my cooking was at a 4, and now he told me that I'm at a 6.5. So I thought that was exciting and pretty positive kind of revelation. I feel like people are kind of taking more time to do things that they really enjoy to do but haven't had the chance to do. So that's been really awesome. I did want to give everybody a little bit of an update. If you don't know, here at the parish, one of my roles, main role actually, is I'm the director of youth and young adult ministry. So when this whole quarantine started, not being able to be around my kids, my middle schoolers, my high schoolers, has been really tough. But one of the great things that has brought all of us together is Zoom, so the virtual world. And lucky for me, that's where a lot of young people live, is in the virtual world, and they're really good with technology. So when this all started, Joan and I started Zooming with our high school group, and we started out every single day as Zooming when all of this started, because at the time the school district was not giving kids assignments. And then once online school started, you could see the stress like kind of bubbling up in them, and they were a little bit overwhelmed, and we backed off to every other day. And I initially said to the teens, I don't want this to be one more thing that's added to your list of things to do. And a lot of them actually unanimously were like, no, like this is something that we need, we enjoy it, it's giving us an opportunity to kind of back away from the schoolwork that we have. And we started out doing the daily Gospels. And that was during Lent, right before Holy Week. And if you follow the daily Gospels, which I can honestly say, if we're gonna be honest with our viewers, not something that I did every day, did not always read the daily readings. And it was the Gospel of John, which is the hardest gospel.
Oh yes, absolutely. One of the hardest gospels to interpret.
One of the hardest gospels to interpret. So we started doing that, and I will say that we have, as a group, collectively grown so much from having the opportunity to be able to do that with them, with one another. We started watching some videos and sharing some videos. We watched Father Mike Schmitz. We've watched Mark Hart. So it's been a really great experience. And we also have done 2 virtual edge nights with our middle school teens, where our core team group of high schoolers and adults have gotten together, and we've put on an edge night, which typically we would do here on campus, but haven't been able to do that. So we've been able to do that in the virtual world, and it's been really great to see. We've had a lot of fun. We've played some games, so it's been very exciting. One of the things I also did want to share with everybody is our graduates, high school graduates. Typically, if you're familiar here with the parish, every May we honor, or June, honor our high school graduates. And sadly, I hate to announce, but I have to, that our graduate mass this year in May has to be canceled. And I know right now my heart breaks for so many of our young people, but in a special way for the seniors, especially the seniors that I work so closely with in youth ministry. It's been really hard to know that there's a lot of things that they can't do and can't experience, but I'm also super hopeful, because I also know that these kids are exceptional, and that if nothing else, they are gonna come out bigger and better and braver on the other side. So I'm sad to announce that, but I also want to say that we are still, again, I keep saying this, but it's true, we are praying for everybody. We feel badly, but we also know that you are brave, and that you're courageous, and that no matter what happens, for all of our seniors, this goes for high school and college as well, because I have a lot of alumni out there too. You guys are you're gonna do exceptionally great things in life. So this is only at one point gonna just be a little blip on your radar. So if you're listening and you're watching, please don't let that get you down, and just know that this community here will always be your family, and that we are always behind you 100%, no matter what. And if you need any of us, we are here. And I know that's not the only thing that's been canceled. Joan's here this morning because she's going to share with us a little bit about what's happening in the Sacramento world. Communions, confirmations, weddings, baptisms. So, Joan.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say, because the struggle is real.
Yes, it is. So the question I have been asked over and over again is, when can we have first communions? When will confirmation be? Can I have my baby baptized? What about my wedding? And quite honestly, the answer is, I don't know. I've tried to communicate, at least to the Sacramento families, the confirmation families, and the first communion families, that as soon as the public mass ban is lifted, we will be in the office trying to figure out when we can most definitely celebrate these outstanding sacraments that the 8th graders and the 2nd graders and the RCIA people who have prepared and waited for an entire year to celebrate and become a more engaging part of the community and the family here at St. Barbara's. So, with that being said, the answer is, I don't know, but we have to just kind of wait to see when we get through the phases that the government has deemed the way things will reopen. My guess would be that the bishops of Pennsylvania will gather as they did when they decided to suspend masses and make a collective decision. And then I most definitely will be on the phone, through email, wherever, to get out the dates and to figure out just when we can do this. It is breaking my heart, first of all, not to see my kids too.
But this is like your most favorite time
It is.
of year.
Any group that I have put, any 2nd grade group, when they come to practice, when their rehearsal night, I tell them it's my favorite part of my job. And it just is killing me that this coming weekend should have been the beginning of our 2 weekends of communions. And it's a terrific celebration for the parishioners to witness, and it just fills my heart. So it's breaking my heart. And then May 12th was to be confirmation. I can say that we do not have to wait for the diocese or the bishop's office to get in touch with us with a date. The bishop has granted delegation,
Yay!
which means
That's
he has
really
given
important.
he has given Father Michael permission to confirm. So we don't have to wait for the bishop's calendar to open up, which is a very good thing because he's extremely busy. And so again, as soon as the ban is lifted, as soon as we can gather people, more than 10, more than even 50 or 100, as soon as we can gather again as a parish family, we will figure out a way to get at least those 2 groups and the RCIA people. We have 2 catechumens, which are 2 adults that are ready to be baptized and receive their complete initiation of confirmation and First Communion. And we have 2 young people, or two other people, an adult and a teenager, who will become Catholic, coming from a different denomination. So we're ready. They're ready. I know they're ready. They're itching to get in here to be sacramentally a part of the parish. So,
Do you have any advice that you could give the families that are sitting at home right now watching, that have like a 2nd grader or an 8th grader, or your RCIA group? Like, what would you tell people?
the main thing, and I say this regardless of a pandemic or not, is to be as engaged as you can into the liturgy. We are extremely fortunate here at St. Barbara to have a wonderful weekend liturgy that is live streamed, and then you can view every day that you would want to. So 2nd grade families in particular, take the time to sit with your child. This is a great time that you can explain what's happening, because you can literally pause it, tell them what's happening, and then click again and move on. It's not the same. I will tell you, if you've watched any of the live streams, I am fortunate enough to be a lector every few weeks, and it warms my heart to come back to be able to do this, because I truly do miss being a part of this parish in a more engaging way. But it is difficult to lecture to an empty church. I will be quite honest. When I lecture, I like to try to engage the people, and there's nobody in the pew, so that's kind of tough. But so that would be my first thought, would be to engage in the liturgy. The 2nd graders and the confirmation families, we have been giving you resources throughout the year refer back to them. Confirmation families, reach out to your sponsors. Check and see how they are, you know. Thank them again for being willing to sponsor you and to be a part of this. Because that's a vital role as well. And again, confirmation families, we will give you plenty of time to be able to invite your sponsors. I know many of them are coming from out of town.
Yeah.
So to invite your sponsors to be here, and we will make every accommodation that we can. If for some reason the date that is chosen, your sponsor can't be here, we will work all that out. I don't want anyone to be concerned about that. So listen to the messages that Father Michael is putting on Facebook and YouTube. Be engaged in the liturgy. Find a prayer, like Dawn said, you know, you've been finding a way to pray with your family. Find a way that's just something maybe unique that you haven't done before.
Do you have a favorite prayer, Dawn?
We've been sort of doing sort of spontaneous praying and
nice.
in the rosary and then the chaplet. So that's what we've been doing. But
Yeah.
You know, I just think that, you know, we will get through this. And for these families, what a great story you'll have when you're older. And someone says, well, what year were you or did you make communion? Or what year were you getting
You'll never
confirmed?
forget.
You'll never forget
2020.
Exactly.
will.
So that would be my suggestion for some of that.
Okay, awesome. So there's been, you know, a lot of other, I think, questions that have been surrounding sacraments as well.
Yeah.
So Dawn, you brought up earlier, you had asked Joan when we were sitting here before we started about weddings. So I guess one of my other questions is, you know, do we have any weddings coming up? What are we kind of doing about weddings? I know personally for me, my cousin was to get married on May 23rd. I have a neighbor, our next door neighbor, their son was to get married on May 23rd. So a lot of young couples have had to make some serious adjustments, cancellations, rescheduling of things in that regard. So do you have any updates for those watching at home about these lovely people who just want to be married?
Yeah. Again, I don't know. Now, as far as weddings go, and baptisms as well, let me speak to the weddings first. A wedding can still occur, but we can only have 10 people. So for many families, many couples, that's just not doable.
Yeah, especially not if you come from a big Italian family.
Yeah, and I also think that for many couples, the venue is also, of the reception, is also playing a factor into that. Ironically enough, I was also to be at a wedding this past Saturday who had to cancel, and it just broke my heart. I felt for her. She was a former student of mine and her fiance that they had to postpone it. They actually postponed it for a year.
You take so much time to plan a wedding, and you count down. Everyone counts down.
The brides or the couples have been in touch with Father Michael. He in turn has been in touch with them. We actually do have 2 weddings coming up in June. I'm not real sure where we're at with that, whether they have decided to just have the ceremony, have the wedding itself, and then postpone the celebration. I'm not real sure where we're at with that. But in theory, yes, we can have it and still maintaining the proper distancing and all that the government has asked us to do.
Oh, we should start making wedding masks.
And then as far as baptisms go, we did have a few baptisms in the pipeline. I've been in touch with those families. Once again, when the whole stay-at-home order was announced and the church closed for any kind of private celebrations, we have asked the families to postpone, and I won't say most, all of them were in agreement. So once again, once some of the restrictions are lifted, it'll probably be baptisms done privately.
Yeah,
not at Mass. We will probably have some restrictions on how many can participate. So when you take into account the priest, the baby, because you have to count the baby too, the parents and the godparents, you're up to 6 right there. So if it's, 10 you might be able to get both sets of grandparents in. But the couples have been fabulous about understanding. For many of them, they do not want to bring their children out, the babies in particular, out to any kind of public forum. So once again, that's I'll be a busy bee.
I was gonna say
when the restrictions are lifted, and I will be extremely thankful to be able to do that, because that will mean that some sort of normalcy is returning, and I can feel like I'm doing my job. And
well, I don't want people to think that you're not doing anything right now. So just let's clarify.
Oh, right, yes. I'm doing a lot
for your sake.
Yes.
You're not sitting at home twiddling your thumbs.
True.
For sure, or just washing windows for the heck of it. So there's a lot of other things, like logistics-wise, that are happening behind the scenes. So you're not really
correct
working directly with these families face to face, but we are doing a lot behind the scenes. And I know
as far as, and even, you know, this is the time of the year where planning for the fall is beginning.
Ugh.
So I'm kind of
we don't take summers off.
Yeah, I'm between two worlds. So I'm looking to what we were going to do, or what we are going to do in the fall, how that scenario may have to change. I don't know. So talking about thinking outside the box, which this parish does very well, has really stretched my imagination as to figure out how we can do what we do well better, and to accommodate and to be a part of all of our families.
As a matter of fact, we're still going to be doing our every May, I think we do our scheduling for the year as a parish staff.
Yes,
so we thought, it is a day-long process, and we thought, well, we're not going to do it this year. Let's postpone it. But no, it's weird, but we still have to think about the future. Life hasn't ended.
Right.
It's changed, but not ended.
Well, it's funny because I feel like too that we still have to plan for the future, but yet we still have to go back and like rewind and still cover all of the other events that haven't happened.
Yeah.
That we're not canceling.
Yeah.
It's both and.
It's a both. Oh, Michael will be so proud. It's a both and.
I can also say too that fingers crossed, toes, whatever, that we are still hoping to have Vacation Bible School.
Oh, yes.
At Mother of Sorrows. We are holding out to the absolute last minute to make that decision. We have decided that it will not be the first week of June like it was intended. We're looking more towards the end of July, almost like a kickoff for the fall.
Nice.
End of July, early August. Also, fingers crossed, Camp Virtue is also still in the pipeline. Again, decisions haven't been made. We'll wait and see, but we really want to be able to have those things, because a lot of the other summer activities have had to be canceled. So
sadly, our mission trip.
Yeah.
We had 38 people from this parish heading to West Virginia in June, and sadly, I had to give the news, what was that, 2 weeks ago?
Oh, last Monday.
I think maybe I found out the news. I cried for about 50 minutes. Then I called Joan, cried some more, picked myself up off the floor, because then we had to Zoom with the kids and share. And that was heartbreaking, because so many of them had said, you know, I need something to look forward to. And our community here, our ministry grew so much from that experience last year.
I was going to say, didn't it like double?
It did. I took 16 last year, and the amount of young people doubled to take
just
this year.
Just through word of mouth, what a wonderful experience it was. So.
But we do a lot of really good outreach here. We do a lot of really good service. This community, we talk all the time about how good all of you are at home that are watching, how you guys always, like this parish always steps up to the plate when we need you in terms of service. So many people have reached out. We talked about this last week. Dawn talked about it. The people that have reached out and said, like, I want to help. What can I do to help? People make phone calls to seniors. We have a parishioner now that's going to be working on sending cards and different things out to people. So many people have stepped up to the plate. And Dawn wants to share this morning, I think, a little bit about our food pantry. A lot of you are familiar. You know that we, Charlene Coma, she ran our food pantry. God rest her soul for years and years, and we still miss her dearly. We have so many other parishioners behind the scenes who have stepped up to the plate Once Charlene passed away, Jan Shepard, our business manager, man, she has been a rock in terms
Definitely.
of taking care of that. So Dawn, for people watching at home, like what has been happening with that? I know it is still going on.
Yeah.
People, it's actually still happening. So what's happening?
That's the biggest thing, and one of the things that's so important that would continue. So the great news is through our collaboration with the Westmoreland County Food Bank, our food pantry is still running just as it was. So once a month, I think it's the second Tuesday of the month. It's sort of a very streamlined, slick operation now. We have 3 of our volunteers that mask up, gloves, and they're down in our garage under the parish office. And the food truck from Westmoreland County Food Bank comes, drops off, and we have cars that start lining up in a very, very strategic, well-planned way. They move up, they're loaded, and then they move a little bit farther down to adjust everything. The next car comes up. So the great news is that is still going on. We aren't taking, because our doors unfortunately are locked, we can't take any food donations, but we can take monetary donations that will go to the People in Need account that then is directed for our food pantry here. So, and if you wanted to do that, you can email Jan or drop her a line and or just drop a donation off in the mail, and that would go right to our People in Need. So it's still happening.
What about people that might need assistance though? Like not only the people that want to give, but the people that might be watching that know somebody that could use help.
Right.
I mean, so many people I feel like that we know.
Yes.
I feel like almost everybody knows somebody who maybe has been laid off or lost a job or is in a situation now where they want to be able to help.
Yes. Well, that is what we're here for. So if you are in that situation and need some help, just call the parish office. We do have a little process now that we've collaborated with the Westmoreland County Food Bank that you just have to fill a little, if you're a new client, you have to fill a little bit of paperwork out. Other than that, we could get you right on the rolls, and you could start getting food monthly as well. So to do that, once again, we're checking even though we're not present in the office all the time, we are checking the phone lines a couple times a day. So leave a message that you need help, and Jan probably would be the one that would get back in touch with you. And our office number is everywhere, but it's 724-744-7474. Leave a detailed message if you are in need, and we'll take care of getting you started with the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's
okay. So I have a story I have to share. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, I heard this.
I know. So we talked last week about how to give online, right? And we were sharing with people about what to do with your offertory envelopes, and we were sharing about a little bit about DLA. Jan shared about DLA because even though we're kind of in this situation, in this pandemic and in this quarantine, we still obviously want to be able to still be here for this community when all of this is over and said and done. So I go home last week after we did our little session here, and I was working, and my cell phone rang. And it said my mom, because if you all don't know, I also work, my mom also is on staff here, Mary Ann Kent, she works in the office, and my cell phone rang, and I thought it was my mom, and I picked it up, and I said, "Hi, Mom," and it was a robocall from Father Michael. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, we have the DLA campaign, right, that happens in our community, and a lot of times if you forget to give your donation, or like me, if you've been a donor in the past, some of us need a little bit of a gentle reminder.
Yes.
And evidently I needed one, because I had all intentions of giving to the DLA when the DLA started. And just like I'm a working mom, and I have a 9-year-old at home, and I'm a busy wife, and
you're a teacher now.
Yeah, I'm a youth minister. Yeah, by the way, I'm a teacher. So I'm trying to I said this morning, I'm trying to keep all the balls in the air. Well, one of the balls fell, and that was my DLA donation ball. So I get this call, and it was Father Michael. So I don't know if anybody at home was watching and you received a robocall, but I will say for me, it wasn't a negative. It was a positive, because it literally, I was like, oh my gosh, why am I receiving this call? Like, I completely already gave to the DLA. And then I realized that with everything that had been going on, I forgot. even when we sat here last week and Jan talked about it, at no point did my brain say, you didn't give your DLA donation, Elisa. So I'm being honest, if you're watching, I forgot to give my donation, and I got my robocall from Father Michael, which was a reminder, which then prompted me to put a post-it note on my little makeshift office desk at home to say, make sure you give to your DLA, and then I got my second letter in the mail. So if you're watching, and if you're someone like me who received a robocall, hopefully you're not looking at it as a negative, but only as a positive, to say it's just a reminder, if you haven't already given your donation, that there's still time, and that this community, we would greatly appreciate the fact of being able to reach our goal here as a community. And I know Jan mentioned it last week, so many of you, again, have seriously stepped up to the plate and been so super generous in giving to this community. And I can tell you, as a lifelong parishioner, having and knowing that this building itself, but not only the building, because if we've learned anything in this pandemic, we have learned that the church is not about the building. The church is about its people. This community of believers here in Penn Township, this Catholic community, they're always present, always here, always willing to give. And I know if you're anything like me, you want to be able to know that we will still be here, and be able to continue to do the outreach that we do, to be able to see our sweet little second graders receive their communion, our confirmation candidates, the people that we bring into the church. We've had so many new parishioners join our community. So it has been such I feel like a blessing. So my little deal, that was my little honest story that I forgot. So I don't know if anybody else is in that position or in my shoes, I guess, to say. So the only other thing I think I wanted to share, so I'm not sure, I'll give these ladies a chance if they have anything else that they'd like to share. On May 1st, which is, May is this Friday?
Coming up, yeah.
I'm sorry, I just need a moment. Need a moment to take a breath in to say, the entire month of April has gone by and I've stayed at home. Other than, trexing out to my little grocery store.
I have to say that April went a little faster. It seemed like March was going on forever. Yeah, because I kept thinking, it's still March. But at least now, I mean, I don't know if it's because we're kind of in the pattern
maybe
of getting up, walking downstairs, and going to the office there. But yeah, I have to say that, and we only had 2 weeks of March we had to go through. We had 4 in April, so I don't know what the difference is. But yes, May is Friday.
Oh, May 1st.
Wow.
The diocese, May 1st. Christy Smith, our diocesan director of youth ministry, has put together an opportunity for our young church. So if you're watching, if you're a mom or dad at home or a grandparent, or if you're just a teen at home watching, May 1st, this Friday, beginning at 7 o'clock, we are going to have a live virtual youth night. And we're stepping it up a little bit. So we have, Joan mentioned earlier, Steve Angrisano. He is actually going to be doing praise and worship.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
He's phenomenal. We sing a lot of his, if you watched Mass yesterday, our opening hymn was a song by Steve himself. So in the Catholic world, in terms of ministry, he's I don't know.
Top notch.
He is when I first got to meet him, you meet these people and they're like celebrity. You're like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. But he's going to be doing praise and worship. Mark Hart, who is another very well-known Catholic speaker, he's going to be delivering a keynote message, and Bishop Malesic is going to be joining us as well. We're doing a lot of games. Christy has organized a lot of our teens to lead small group discussions. So we would really love, if you're watching, share that information. We're going to be posting some stuff on our social media this week as well to connect young people to that event that's been going on and happening. And I also want to mention too, kind of behind the scenes, here, I know, Joan, there's a lot of people, a lot of small groups that are still continuing to meet, like prayer groups and things like that. So that's always, I think,
because we had to suspend the No Greater Love before it completed, there were some groups that met virtually afterwards or throughout to finish it up. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, again, when we're allowed to gather in larger groups, that we had intended to offer a series from Ascension Press called The Mass. Without having spoken to Dave Burnett, who was kind of spearheading this, I'm going to go out and say, yes, we're going to attempt to do that again.
Great.
It's a great opportunity to delve into the Mass and the Mass parts and what they all mean and how they are, how it affects you and applies to you. So again, that's one more thing that is on my list when we gather to schedule to try to put that in as well, again, to be able to offer some more adult formation to our adults who are here too, because formation is not just for children. I hope in the 6 years that I've been here that message has kind of gotten across to everybody.
We're always learning.
It's a lifelong journey. Just because you are confirmed 8th graders does not mean that you're finished. We need to continue, and we need to move on and do and to continue to learn about our faith and experience it, because hopefully in each segment of your life, your faith brings you through things in a different way and helps you to get through things in a different way. So so we're looking for more opportunities to do adult formation as well. And again, we are looking at ways to bring Foundations of Faith to everybody. Perhaps virtually if we need to do that, but that's for another segment of Good Morning St. Barbara.
We're going to be together.
Joan got to talk all about formation and sacraments this week. Next week, I think Father Michael's going to be here, and maybe another youth, or not youth anymore, a young lady that was going to come and talk to us about different things. But we're going to have some Mother's Day things coming up. Stay tuned.
We have some stuff we're going to be working on this week. So all you moms and dads out there, or dads in particular, Mother's Day, May 10th? Oh, I should know.
Well, yeah, and your kids aren't going to be in school doing little projects for their moms, so the dads have to step it up.
You do have to
You
step
can't
up.
count on the school teachers to do anything.
Yes. So if you're a dad watching right now, you've got some time. It's April 27th. Give us some time.
But so we will be looking forward to this week, Father Michael's message on Wednesday coming up. Like we said, we'll watch out for some Mother's Day features. And
I think right now we should probably wrap it up.
wrap
Wrap it up in a nice little bow.
Okay.
Just please stay tuned. Like we said, like Dawn said, we do have a lot of other things coming down the pipeline, and we are all really working behind the scenes to continue to be the parish community of St. Barbara and to bring you as much as we can, whether it's in the virtual world, however it happens to be. We are not going anywhere, and we have no intentions of going anywhere anytime soon. So thank you all so much for listening today and being with us. We really appreciate it, and I think it's important with all things that we give praise to the Lord. So if you ladies would join me, I'd love to close us in prayer again today.
Thank you, Elisa.
So in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Good and gracious Father, we thank you so much for the blessing of this day, for this community of believers here in your little corner of the kingdom. We ask for your continued blessing for our safety, for our health and well-being. Allow us to be able to face each day with hope, Lord, because as the weeks drag on, I can honestly say that it becomes a little bit slightly more difficult for each person. We just ask that you continue to walk beside us along this journey, allow us to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and to know that through you all things are possible, and that no matter what happens, we are going to come out on the other side bigger, stronger, and only better, because that's what you do. You make all things new, and you make every single situation, no matter what it is, good or bad, you always allow us to find the positive. So we thank you, Lord, we praise you, and we continue to offer you our blessing. And we offer everything in your most holy name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Well, thank you all again.
Thank
it's great
you.
to see your
See you
face.
next week.
See you next week.